on this Imbalanced Vibrations tribe. You know who it is, your boy Ride the Off. And today I am finally giving you my final message. This will effectively connect all the dots that may have been left unconnected and spots left unexplored. So let's get right into it because you know I like to get straight into the gnosis. All right, so pretty much here's the deal. How did I segue into this earlier? So let me kick it to you like this. Right now, there has been, talk of Palladians. Palladians coming down, Palladians coming through and talking to us. And really, when you think about it, these Palladians, what are you looking at? These Palladians aren't actually something external to you. They're actually just you from a more perfected and refined point in no time. So when you think about somebody's coming to save you, that's actually not the case. They're actually just giving you energy that was always there to receive, but you just never utilized it because, you know what I'm saying, well, me included, we just never utilized it because we never knew to. We never knew to, utilize the certain energies and even know that it was there when in retrospect, it made a lot of sense because us as humans can but we've been only seeing one tiny bit of the spectrum. So that means there's so much more that has been here that we haven't been making use of or even trying to study. So they're shooting gamma rays at us. And it's just us shooting gamma rays at ourselves. That's the funny thing. So, oh my gosh, it's not flowing as good as I wanted to. But pretty much what I wanted to get to, the point is saying that what will connect all the dots, what will have you explore all of the places that you haven't went to, is if you implement this into your life right now. All is self, the universe is mental. You see my friends here? You see them? See? That's the light bodies. That's them. Yeah, but yes, the universe is self. All is self, and the universe is mental. So that means right now, this is just a mental projection inside of mental projection. So technically, you can think of yourself as maybe a neuron in the body of source, a celebrated blood cell, bioelectricity, cells within the heart, any part, any, you know, anything you have in your body, base level, energy wise, and just whatever type of cells would be made of. Well, I guess we can still use this body as a, yeah. So any cells that you have within your body, any parts and that you have within your body, that is the same as source. Because check this out. When you get to the point where you realize that you are made by source, then you're an offspring of him. And the only reason that you haven't gotten to that high enough stage is because you have to remember that technically you are no thing. So source would definitely be no thing, correct? Because the reason that people get lost, or the reason that most people get lost, is because they can't conceive them coming from nothing. Like, I know when I was a kid, I used to get deep in thought, so deep in thought that eventually I would lose the thought completely, and I could no longer go any farther. And I always wondered why that happened. And only until recently have I realized, because the mystery is still unfolding. My story is still unfolding. So there's no way that I can go beyond this point, because as a source being, which I am, which you are, which everyone is, source beings, they have to implement their own experiences, their own perceptions, their own emotions, their own very being into the very timeline that is source, or being that is source. Because you keep on, well, I kept on trying to go outside to find, God. Like, that's how what thinking is. It's like you going outside the spectrum, going more left or more right in a certain direction, because you think you're gonna find what you're looking for that way, when in retrospect it's actually up and down, back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Left and right, if you just need to vibrate real quick, you need to vibrate some stuff, you're gonna get some blockages out, you vibrate, you go left or right. But up and down, that's when you're transcending. Left and right, that's when you're, moving, shuffling, shaking. Would it be vibrating too? It doesn't matter. But pretty much what I'm trying to say is, oh, that's a big bird. What I'm trying to say is, you are source. I am source. We are all source. And when we wake up to that fact and realize that all is self, the universe is mental, we realize that we really just been playing games. And that's fine, because a lot of people aren't ready for that knowledge to be thrust upon them. But there's no more being ready for stuff now. Like, we're completely out of our comfort zone at this point. And so the final push will be just you knowing, you realizing, you accepting that all is self, the universe is mental. You have to think about the implications of this saying. That means everything you're thinking of right now, you never left the head. You never left your head. I mean, of course you can go to your heart and, feel some true knowledge, feel some true gnosis about the situation. But technically, you never left your body, bro. Like, even people that astral project can tell you that it's too, it's sometimes too weird to explain. And I know my life has definitely been the exact same. I don't know why I'm rhyming, but hey. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, all these experiences are still within the body, It's only when you go so much inward that eventually you come outward, do you actually see what's actually going on. And that's called the Great Arcanum. That's called, or not even called the Great Arcanum, that's called the Holies of Holies, you know what I'm saying? That's called the Golden Chalice, the elixir of immortality. But yeah, you are a source, man. You are a source being. And I'm going to tell you exactly the correlation and exactly what God is to source. Okay? So let me just go back for this one. I can start it right now, but just for, reference and everything. You go back into the Bible and you see how many times that God actually killed someone. Yes? Well, you can think of God as he was the generator, operator, and destroyer, correct? That's what he was. That's what it was. And technically, well, not technically, but very straight to the point is that he, like all things, are inside the body of Source. Inside the body of Source. So he, or it, was always doing exactly what Source wanted it to do, because ultimately it was in the body of Source at that time. And of course the body of Source is, upgrading everything right now. But at the time, that was still Source. That was what Source, or not even maybe what Source thought, but that was what, whoever had, manipulation over the body Source, or creative creative direction of the body of source at that time. Because in a sense that source is always going to be moving exactly where it needs to go. But in the minuscule cells, they're living out their whole, life, and they may not even be aware of source. They might not even know who source is. They just know that they came from somewhere, which is ultimately wrong because you came from nothing. So then you already get fucked up. You already start going down the wrong road. And then when cell division gets there, when 5D, kicks in, and it's time to upgrade the body of source, in the sense that the body of source is always going to be transcending its last self. That's how everyone works. That's how, if you're not transcending something, then you're just really stagnating. And stagnation isn't even possible because everything is always moving. Everything is always, like even when you say balance, you would think balance is staying still, but really, this is what Sevan Bomar told me. Balance is actually moving so quick that you look like you're not moving at all. So effectively, you create a bridge of whatever you're trying to bridge. That's what balance is. So there's never ever any time where someone is just completely still or a molecule is completely still, because that's ultimately impossible. So stagnation was never even a real thing. It wasn't even a real concept. It was just made up to keep people and the cells that couldn't take the upgrade, that wasn't going to make the upgrade or the first upgrade. And it just kept them, in a point of retardation. Let me just put it simply. Kept you in a point of retardation. Everyone has been in that point at one point. But ultimately, when you get to the real issue, you realize that transcendence has always been what people have craved for. Like in the workplace, what did it come to? Competition. Why was they trying to compete? Because they wanted to be better than the other person. Because they thought if they're better than that person, then that is them transcending another part of themselves, when ultimately that is just them transcending another ego. That's not transcending the true self. And the true self is you, right? So the source self is you, right? So when you're not transcending yourself, you're just being an asshole. You're just being someone that think he can one up everyone, instead of just being genuinely and unapologetically him and continuously to become better from that point there. That is transcendence. You seeing your last person, your last self from 1 second ago, because it gets deep, from 1 second ago, and you're like, all right, bet, I got to get better than you. You ready? Oh, wait, what are you talking about? If you get better than me, then I die. Hey, the real me can't die. So what are you talking about? Wait. No, you're gone. Transcendence, boom. All right. So what I'm trying to say is God was just that point of awareness and source that pretty much he made everything generate. He operated everything, and he destroyed everything as well. So there was a couple cells that weren't doing what they're supposed to do. They're trying to use their power, their knowledge of what, source was and what they were, as also a source being in the body of source, but still a source being, because you're in source, so you can be source. But they're using their power, haphazardly. They was using their power to do, negative things, not things that should be done within source, but ultimately it was more experiences, so it had to be done, so it was done. So God, the awareness, it killed multiple people, killed multiple cells. And what was that? That was just you getting rid of some parasites early in the game. You getting rid of some disease cells early in the game. Because that's what the body does now. We have got to the point where our body can just kill trillions of cells, and new cells just come about, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like God has ever stopped killing people. Yeah, that's been going on naturally, man. Behind your eyeballs. Cells have been dying, hair cells have been dying, all that. Dead, killed. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. because if cells stopped dividing, you would die. You know what? You know why? Because the old cells and the cells that's not compatible with the new transcendent self, they will keep on, just being there and not trying to, be better, not trying to divide into something more, you know. And cell division isn't actually you becoming more bigger or you becoming more bulkier or something like that. It's just you becoming more etheric, because our cells are really, our genes and everything are really at the end stage right now. Like, we've got compressed so far down that we're literally like bugs to the original people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think I should turn around. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like I went off on a tangent. But yeah, the cells have been to a point where they've been compressed. They've been refined to a small Bindu-like point. The Bandu, the Bindu. If you mess with mandalas at all, or the yantras, you know what a Bindu is. It's that point in the center that technically is the most powerful point of it, but by itself, it's nothing because it's just a point by itself. But when it gets the full structure of the yantra, the full construction of the thing, then it becomes the most powerful thing in the world. The Sri Yantra. But yeah, that's what we are right now. We're the Bindu, or that one point of awareness. That's how we're able to get so in touch with our higher self as we are now, because we're like literally at the edge of the rope, man. Like we're at the very edge of physicality. Physicality is getting, upgraded and transcended as well as we speak. Cause it was 3D, then it was 4D, and now we're getting to a point where we're gonna be 5D and up. There's not gonna be any more 3D or 4D or lower than that. It's gonna be 5D and up, and every other universe is gonna be, split up and put somewhere else. Or even not even split up. Well, yeah, I guess it will be split up and not even put anywhere else, but just split up. And when you split something up, I don't even know what happens to the old cells. So, not a good place to be. But there are going to be some of us that stay and help the people that couldn't make this ascension this time around, this transcendence, and that's good for them. I don't know, I might be one too, who knows. But yeah, let me get back to the point. So God is really just the awareness in source. It's the awareness that allows him to generate new cells, to kill old cells, to have cells operate in a certain way. So there's nothing inherently wrong with God. He was doing his job. It's still doing his job today. And technically, the higher source, the higher power, the higher self is you mixed, you fused with, that awareness. And then from that awareness will be birthed the sun. You know what I'm saying? Because you can think of yourself as just the spirit, the consciousness within the body, and you can move freely. You move freely. And then you fuse with your awareness, your God awareness, your source awareness, and then from that awareness will become a whole new being, a being that can, truly understand and overstand everything. And then also from a point where you have to understand some stuff too, because you're under that at that point. And then when you come up over it, then that's when you start getting to a point where you never have to understand anything else, because you pretty much understand and overstand everything to a depth level. So yeah, that's what God was, that's what it is, and that's what it always shall be. Just that awareness, that point that has free reign over the body of source, because it's going to make sure the body of source is constantly getting better, constantly transcending. So if it sees down the line that some people aren't going to ever do anything of benefit to the whole, then I mean, obviously it wouldn't, it would get rid of it. It would get rid of it, because there's no reason to playing with it. Because even in the Bible, you can tell that God knew, like he knew certain things, and he was just playing with everybody else because he knew that they didn't know. But it was easier for him to just, or easier for it to just act like he was on the same page with them, even though he knew ultimately, you know what I'm saying? So that wasn't even, you can think of that as just your body doing what it gotta naturally do, you know what I'm saying? Like if your body didn't kill all those cells, who knows how you'll be right now? Who knows what type of diseases or cancers will sprout up within you, and you'd be the lesser for it. So your body is actually doing all this right now without even you telling it to. Okay, so now let's get to ultimately, because God was never the ultimate power. So you have to think about this now. If God was not the ultimate power, if your consciousness is not the ultimate power, what is the ultimate power? And I'm gonna tell you simply like this: the whole body, spirit, and soul of Source is the ultimate power. So that means you fully, with all of your spiritual power, all of your awareness of soul, all of your body, fully activated and fully attuned and fully balanced and fully connected with the other two as one, is Source. So not many people have reached that point, but a lot of people have touched that point. I don't want to drop any names because, I mean, you can get far on with the physical body, but I believe when you get to that point, you don't need the body anymore. You should just start taking vessels and stuff like that. But yeah, Source is just the culmination of those three, forever. Like, he has full control over it. He or she has full control over all of the physicality and all the spirituality, and then is able to intermingle those two and become the self-realized soul. Well, not even become the self-realized soul, because he's already, but for the people that's working up to it, yeah, it's you can manipulate the spiritual power and the physical power, and then create something, better. Create something without all the chaff and the fake and the shit, because you have higher Veda, and you have the coagulation of matter, the coagulation of cells, the coagulation of earth, the coagulation of, molecules. And if you mix those two and have more higher Veda than, actual matter, then you can create, certain things that's just unseen. And ultimately what I'm trying to say is, guys, that all this stuff that I'm talking about, all this Source stuff, is just you. You are Source, you know what I'm saying? Just like how those Pleiadian message I just read, it said that we came from you. We are sending energy to you from you. So it's like, yeah, we're doing impossible things right now, and this is just to keep this illusion going up, this illusion to keep going. And that's because people aren't ready to realize that there's never been anything outside of themselves that they needed. There's never been anything outside of themselves that they truly need to do, unless you're trying to, become something self-proclaim, something that someone calls you, a title that someone calls you, get a job. But ultimately, you don't need that, man. Like, the only thing you need is, you know, yourself, your spirituality, and then that third thing that not a lot of people get to, that soul. Because at the soul point, I just learned that there's actually no awareness. So I guess that would pretty much just be you without judgment. Like you in the ultimate form, but you're not judging anything. You know what I'm saying? You get past that point where you believe that you have to judge everyone because you have so much power, and you realize that only thing that truly can judge anyone is themselves. And that's the hardest judge in the fucking world. So instead of you going out there and telling people what you think they should do, trying to put your, expectations on them, judge yourself in any situation, in all situations. Judge and see how you're acting at that point in time. And then when you get to a point where you can't judge anymore, you sit back and you see how you work from there. And then ultimately you keep that judge in the background for yourself always, because you might slip into ego more and might think, oh, this is, mine, or some bull egoic shit. But yeah, just keep that judge for yourself. Take that judge and take it off of everyone else, because who the fuck are you, bro? Like, yes, you're source, but you have to think about it like this. If you're a source and you're out here trying to judge people, that means you're just out here nitpicking. And if you know what's best for them, instead of trying to tell them what's best for them, how about you show them what's best for yourself and do that and be an example, instead of trying to tell somebody what you think you know that they should do because you know their life, which ultimately you can't know their life because they're another perception that you created to make it seem like you're not alone, make it seem like there's other people out here, make it seem like, well, there is other beings. There's actually one set of beings, and there's a multitude of different races and stuff, because we created so much to experience. Like, we experiencing all this and we want to keep on experiencing it. And you see where it got us, man. You see where it took us. Not much of shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, people out here doing cool things, but I still haven't even seen anything that really just awes me. Like, even now I think back at the things that I thought were awing me, they're really just like, oh, okay, that's cool. It's cool to see. I haven't seen anything in materiality that actually awes me except for spirituality. And then you get to the point where you don't even see things anymore. You just feel stuff in your body, and you're like, oh, wow, I'm the source of this cool all. I'm the source of these cool things that can be done. But yeah, when I start seeing people flying around this bitch, people using their superpowers the way they're supposed to be used, for the benefit of the whole and not for the benefit of the self or the one singular being, that would be when we can start doing some cool shit on in materiality. But what I'm trying to say is, guys, is we've been playing this game for far too long, me included. We've been sitting here, chilling when there's spiritual work to be done. Like, this physicality is simply so you can constantly be aware of all the processes that it takes to do certain things, and then transcend those things. And it's always just about you doing the inner work, man. It's never going to be about you doing the outer work, because the outer work isn't even like done. Like, I was working the other day and I was like, damn, I don't even feel tired. Like, I'm not even doing this right now. Like, I'm literally putting my body on autopilot when my mind is elsewhere. And that's possible, you know what I'm saying? That's how you get past the mundane things. You make your body go automatically to do it, and you're just elsewhere doing other things. Like, you can be creating a new concept or idea for yourself. You can be creating a whole new island for yourself in your imagination. You can be healing some type of energy that you feel coming through your rectum area, because that's where the lower energies always come through. If you don't know how to close your sphincter, I think that's what it's called. But yeah, like, you can be doing so much stuff, and people always like, oh, I'm tired, oh, this, that, and the third. But like, you're still doing it, so technically you're not really tired. You just like to complain. Let's keep it one infinite. Can't even do that shit. Let's keep it infinite though. Let's really keep it infinite. Let's really keep it infinite. But yeah, guys, didn't make this video to, bust anybody's balls or anything like that. I just came through to get you out of that psyche, man. Like, ultimately, the only thing that matters is the whole. But guess what? The wholeness starts with the individual. The wholeness starts with the individual. So at the end of the day, it's always going to be the wholeness and it's going to be the individual. But it's up to you if you're going to be that individual to get to the wholeness, or you're going to be the wholeness that gets to the individual. Wholeness and balance vibration tribe.